My girlfriend dropped the news without warning. Her brother was moving in that very day, permanently. I was expected to cover every expense, and if I didn't like it, I could move out. I simply replied, "Understood." Then I packed my things, canceled the lease, and walked away. The panic set in almost immediately. I'm 31M. My girlfriend, Serafina, is 28F. We've been together a little over a year and living together for 8 months. This is a throwaway because she lives online and I don't need this traced back to me. Yet, Serafina is a lifestyle influencer. Not quit your job, famous, but not small either. About 47K followers. Fashion, wellness, routines, soft life, energy. When we met, she had closer to 12K and worked part-time at a boutique. She talked constantly about growth, branding, momentum. I actually admired it. I still think ambition is attractive. What I didn't fully understand at first was how expensive her brand was. When we moved in together, she couldn't cover first and last month. I did. She said she'd pay me back once a few sponsorships cleared. They never did, but I told myself it was fine. When she said her phone camera wasn't good enough for Reels, I helped pay for a new one. When her car didn't match the image, I co-signed a lease. When she said stress hurt her creativity, I picked up more of the bills so she could focus. That's probably the first place I messed up. Somewhere along the way, I stopped being her boyfriend and became her infrastructure. I was the guy holding bags while she filmed outfit transitions in parking garages. The one waiting silently while she retook the same coffee sipped 6 times. If I spoke during filming, she'd snap. "Babe, seriously, you're ruining the vibe." Still, I told myself relationships have phases. Then last week, she sat me down on the couch like she was about to explain a subscription price increase. She said, very casually, "So my brother's moving in. Like today? Permanently." I asked why. She rolled her eyes and said I was being dramatic already. Apparently he needs a reset, and family comes first. I asked where he'd sleep. She shrugged. "We'll figure it out." Then she crossed her arms and said the sentence I can't get out of my head. "You'll be paying for everything. If you don't like it, move out." I just nodded and said, "Understood." She smirked. That's where things start to get interesting. She thought understood meant compliance. Like I'd grumble internally, maybe sulk for a day, then fall back in line the way I always did. She went right back to her phone, thumbs flying, probably texting someone about how supportive I was. I stood there for a second longer than necessary, just watching her. The way she didn't even check my face. That was the moment something clicked loose. I didn't argue. I didn't explain how insane it was to move someone in permanently without a conversation. I didn't ask about rent, utilities, privacy, or how temporary somehow turned into forever in one sentence. I just went into the bedroom and closed the door. That night, her brother showed up with 2 trash bags of clothes and a PlayStation. No hello. No thanks. He dropped his stuff in the living room and immediately asked where the Wi-Fi password was. Serafina snapped at me from the kitchen to be nice, because he was going through a lot. I smiled, gave him the password, asked if he needed help carrying anything else. She watched that interaction like she'd won something. Later, while she was filming a night routine video in the bathroom, I sat on the edge of the bed with my laptop and pulled up our lease. Month to month, 30 days notice. Both names on it. But guess who paid the security deposit? Guess whose bank account every utility auto-drafted from? I started making a list. Not an angry one. A clean, boring list. Lease, internet, power, streaming services, phone plan, car insurance. Every little thing I'd quietly absorbed over time because it was easier. Around midnight, she finally came to bed and complained that I was off energy-wise. Said stress like that shows up on her face and could hurt her engagement. Then she added, half joking, "Just don't start acting weird now that my brother's here." I told her everything was fine. The next morning, she left early with him to get coffee and show him around. I waited 10 minutes after they were gone, then started packing. Not fast, not emotional, just deliberate. By noon, half my stuff was in boxes. By 2, I made a few phone calls that changed everything. The first call was to my landlord. I'd never spoken to him directly before. Everything usually went through Serafina because she liked feeling in control. I explained calmly that I needed to remove myself from the lease due to a sudden change in living arrangements. He sighed like this wasn't his first version of the story. Month to month, 30 days, no penalties. He asked if my girlfriend knew. I said she would soon. The second call was to my bank. I separated my account from every shared auto payment. Internet, utilities, streaming. Gym membership she never used, but like tagging. All scheduled to end within days. Clean. Legal. Boring. The third call was to a friend with a spare room. He didn't ask questions. Just said, "Yeah, man. Take the desk or the couch. Whatever you need." I packed until my arms felt numb. Clothes first. Then books. Then the stuff you don't notice until it's gone. Chargers, tools, documents. Anything that was mine went into a box. Anything shared, I left exactly where it was. I even wiped down the kitchen counter I used, because I didn't want her claiming I trashed the place. Around 4, she texted asking if I could send her money because she and her brother accidentally overspent at brunch. I replied, "Can't. Busy." That was the first crack. She came home just after 6, laughing loudly, and froze when she saw the boxes stacked by the door. "What is this?" she asked, tone already sharp. "Just organizing," I said. Her brother looked between us, uncomfortable for about half a second, then shrugged and turned on the TV. She followed me into the bedroom and lowered her voice, furious. "Why are you being passive-aggressive? I told you he was moving in." "I know," I said. "You were very clear." She stared at me, waiting for the rest. For the apology. For the negotiation. For me to cave. When it didn't come, her face shifted. Not panic yet. Annoyance. The kind you feel when an app freezes. "You're not actually thinking of leaving," she said. "Don't be dramatic." I taped another box shut and finally looked at her. "You told me to move out if I didn't like it," I said. "I didn't like it." She laughed once. Too loud. "You can't just do that." That's when I realized she genuinely believed that. And that's when the power finally changed hands. She followed me back into the living room, voice rising now, not caring that her brother could hear. "You're overreacting. Couples support each other. This is what adults do." I didn't correct her. I just picked up another box. That's when she snapped. "So what? You're just abandoning me? After everything I've built?" That sentence landed wrong. Her life. Her build. I was a background asset she'd grown used to leaning on. "I gave notice," I said. 30 days. Her eyes widened. There it was. The first hint of panic. "You can't do that without talking to me." "You talked to me," I said evenly. "You just didn't ask." Her brother muted the TV, suddenly very interested. She crossed her arms, defaulting to contempt. "Fine. Leave. But don't expect me to beg. You'll regret this when you realize how much you're throwing away." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so predictable. She still thought regret only ran one direction. That night was icy. She filmed a reset routine video in the bedroom while I slept on the couch. At some point, she hissed at me for breathing too loud because it picked up on her mic. The next morning, the internet shut off at 9:07 a.m. Her scream could have cracked glass. She burst out of the bedroom, waving her phone. "What did you do?" I sipped my coffee. "Canceled my account." "You can't do that. I have deadlines." "You should set it up in your name," I said. "You're the one using it." Her brother tried to laugh it off until his game disconnected too. By noon, the power company email came through. Then the streaming services logged out. Then her car lease payment declined. She sat on the floor, phone in hand, refreshing her bank app like it was broken. "This isn't funny," she said, voice shaking now. "Fix it." I picked up my keys. "I'm fixing my situation." When I walked out with the last box, she followed me to the door for the first time. "You're seriously doing this?" she asked. I paused, hand on the knob. "You told me to." Behind me, reality was finally starting to move in with her brother. And it was loud. I stayed with my friend for the first week. Quiet place. No ring lights. No filming. Just a mattress on the floor and the kind of silence that lets your shoulders finally drop. Serafina did not take the silence well. The first day, she texted like nothing was wrong. Casual updates. Passive comments. "Internet's being weird today, LOL." I didn't respond. The second day, the tone shifted. "We need to talk like adults." Then, 10 minutes later, "This is really immature." By day 3, the calls started. Missed calls. Voicemails. Her voice bouncing between anger and disbelief. She kept saying things like, "I don't understand why you're doing this to me." Like I'd committed some kind of crime. What she didn't mention was money. She never asked if I was okay. Never asked where I was staying. She asked when I'd be back to fix this. Like I was a contractor who walked off a job halfway through. On day 4, I got a notification from the landlord. Serafina had called him crying. Apparently, she thought if she told him we were working through things, he'd force me to stay on the lease. He didn't. That night, she finally cracked. She texted, "My brother can't pay anything right now. I thought you understood that." I stared at the message for a long time. Not angry, just tired. I replied with one sentence. You didn't ask me to understand. You told me to accept. No response for an hour. Then, so you're really choosing money over me? That's when it hit me. She genuinely believed I existed to absorb consequences so she wouldn't have to feel them. The next morning, she posted a story. Black screen. White text. Learning who's really there when life gets hard. Mutual friends started reaching out. Carefully worded messages. Hey, just checking in. Translation. Why did you abandon the influencer? I didn't explain. I just kept packing the rest of my life forward. At the end of the week, I went back to the apartment to grab the last few things. She wasn't there. Her brother was, sprawled on the couch, surrounded by takeout containers. You're the guy who left, he said flatly. Yeah, I said. He shook his head. She didn't think you'd actually do it. Neither did I, until I did. And that's when I saw the unopened bills stacked on the counter. The bills were worse than I expected. Rent reminder. Utility shut-off warnings. Credit card statements with balances I didn't recognize. Sponsorship advances she'd already spent but hadn't actually earned yet. Everything stacked neatly, unopened, like if she didn't look at them, they might stop existing. I grabbed the last box from the closet, old hoodies, winter stuff, and that's when I noticed the ring light still set up in the corner. Phone mounted, background staged. The caption notebook open on the bed. She'd planned to film a hard season video. That explained the story post. She came in while I was taping the box shut. Didn't say hi, just leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, eyes red but dry. Calculated. So, she said, are you done making your point? I didn't answer right away. You really embarrassed me, she continued. Do you have any idea how this looks? That was it. Not how this feels. Not why did you leave. Just optics. I told people you were stressed, she added. That you needed space. Don't make me a liar. I finally looked at her. You already rewrote the story. She scoffed. Of course I did. I'm not going to tell people you abandoned me. I didn't abandon you, I said. I exited a deal you changed without my consent. Her jaw tightened. You make everything sound so cold. That's because you only hear things when they affect you financially. She flinched like I'd slapped her. Then came the pivot. The softer voice. The one that used to work. We can fix this, she said quietly. My brother can find a job. We'll make a plan. Just come back. I shook my head. You didn't want a plan. You wanted compliance. Her eyes filled instantly. Real tears now. You're really just going to leave me like this? I picked up the box. You left first. You just didn't move out. As I walked past her, she whispered, you'll regret this. I stopped at the door. Not to argue. Just to say one thing. I already don't. That's when the panic finally stopped being subtle. The real panic started 2 days later. I know because that's when she stopped trying to sound in control. She called at 6:18 a.m. I didn't answer. She called again. Then again. By the fourth call, I picked up. Not because I wanted to talk, but because I wanted it to stop. Her voice was wrecked. Not influencer cry. Real, cracked, unfiltered. They're going to tow my car, she said. No hello. No accusation. Just fear. I closed my eyes and leaned back against the wall. That's between you and the leasing company. You're still on the paperwork, she said quickly. They said they'll call you next. I removed myself. I replied. Remember? Silence. Then breathing. Shallow. Fast. My cards are maxed, she whispered. I thought a brand deal was coming through, but it didn't. And my brother hasn't even started looking for work yet. There it was. The part she couldn't curate. I need help, she said. Not I'm sorry. Not I was wrong. Just need. I waited. Gave her space to add something meaningful. Nothing came. I can't fix this for you, I said finally. That doesn't mean I hate you. It just means I'm done funding decisions I don't get a voice in. She snapped back instantly, defensive reflex kicking in. So you're punishing me? No, I said. I'm opting out. She hung up on me. An hour later, I got a Venmo request. No message. Just a number. That's when I blocked her. Later that day, a mutual friend texted me. Said Serafina was telling people I walked out during a family emergency. That I was financially abusive. That I used money to control her. I didn't defend myself. I didn't correct the narrative. I just forwarded the lease emails, the payment receipts, the canceled accounts, screenshots I'd kept without even knowing why. The friend stopped replying. That night, Serafina posted another story. This time crying. Talking about betrayal. About being blindsided. The comments were split. Some sympathy. Some questions. She deleted it an hour later. Panic doesn't perform well when it's unscripted. And she was running out of takes. A week passed. Then another. The silence did what arguments never could. It forced her to sit inside the consequences without a villain she could yell at directly. I found out later, through someone who shouldn't have told me, that her brother moved out after 10 days. Apparently, permanent, lasted until the Wi-Fi, groceries, and rides disappeared. He went back to a friend's place and told people Serafina was stressing him out. The irony didn't hit her. Not yet. She tried a different angle after that. An email came through from her. Long, carefully written, almost professional. She apologized for how things came across. Said she was under pressure. Said family makes people act irrationally. Said she missed me, but also said relationships require sacrifice. Not mutual sacrifice. Just sacrifice. She ended it with, "I think we both made mistakes." I read it twice, then archived it. A few days later, I ran into her by accident at a grocery store. I almost didn't recognize her without the filter, without the posture she wore online. She looked smaller, tired. Her cart was half full of cheap essentials instead of aesthetic snacks. She saw me and froze. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then she said my name like she was testing whether it still belonged to her. "You look fine," she said. "I am," I replied. She nodded, swallowing. "I'm figuring things out." "I know." She waited. For reassurance. For guilt. For me to ask if she was okay. When it didn't come, her voice sharpened. "You really just walked away." I met her eyes. "No." I walked forward. That's when I saw it. The realization she'd been avoiding since the beginning. I wasn't coming back. Not angry. Not broken. Just done. She opened her mouth like she had one last thing to say, then closed it. There was nothing left that worked on me. I paid for my groceries and left her standing there, cart unmoving. Later that night, she posted a photo. Solo. Caption about growth, independence, resilience. The comments were supportive. The bank notifications, I imagine, were not. And for the first time since all this started, I slept without replaying a single conversation. I thought that would be the end of it. Clean break. Separate lives. Lesson learned on both sides. I underestimated how hard it is for some people to accept losing leverage. About 3 weeks after the grocery store run-in, I got an email from her, not from her personal account, but her business one. Subject line, "Final attempt at closure." That alone told me everything. She wrote about how she'd been forced to rebuild from nothing. How abandonment trauma doesn't show up on spreadsheets. How I taught her that love is conditional. She said she hoped one day I'd do the inner work to understand why I reacted the way I did. No mention of the ultimatum. No mention of the money. No mention of her brother. Just a beautifully rewritten version where I was the emotionally stunted villain. I didn't reply. 2 days later, I noticed she'd unfollowed me everywhere. Blocked me on some platforms. Left me visible on others. A messy, strategic mix. Enough to feel like control. Then the DM came, from someone I didn't know. "Hey, this is awkward, but are you okay? Serafina's been saying some stuff that doesn't really add up." Apparently, she'd gone live the night before. Wine involved. Tears. Slipped details she hadn't meant to. Talked about how she assumed I'd handle everything because I always had. How she didn't think I'd actually leave. That sentence made its way around. The comments turned. Quietly. Slowly. No mass call-out. Just questions. The kind influencers hate. She deleted the live. Then archived a bunch of older posts. Then posted less. Then started pushing discount codes harder than before. I didn't celebrate. I didn't feel smug. I felt relief. Because the last thread tying me to her story finally snapped. I moved into my own place the following week. Small. Calm. Mine. No extra mouths. No performance. Just space. Sometimes people ask if I miss her. I don't. I miss who I thought she was, before I learned that if you don't like it, move out isn't a boundary. It's a test. And for the first time in a long time, I passed one by walking away. A month after everything settled, I got one last message. Not from her. From her brother. Short. Awkward. Misspelled. "Hey man, just wanted to say sorry. I didn't know she told you it was permanent. Thought it was like a few weeks thing." I stared at it for a long time. That explained a lot. The confidence. The entitlement. The way she said it like a decree instead of a discussion. She hadn't just crossed a boundary. She'd rewritten reality to suit the outcome she wanted. I replied with one sentence. "Take care of yourself." And that was it. No more threads left to pull. Life didn't dramatically improve overnight. There was no revenge glow-up, no cinematic montage. Just small, quiet changes. My grocery bill dropped. My stress headaches disappeared. I stopped flinching when my phone buzzed. I noticed how peaceful it felt to exist without being useful. Sometimes, late at night, I replay the moment on the couch. Her voice. The way she leaned back like she'd already won. You'll be paying for everything. If you don't like it, move out. She said it like no one ever had. I think that's what shocked her most. Not that I left, but that I didn't fight. I didn't negotiate. I didn't beg to stay relevant in a life that only valued me when I was silent and solvent. I just accepted her terms. People think walking away is dramatic. It isn't. It's quiet. It's boxes and canceled accounts and unanswered texts. It's choosing not to audition for a role you never applied for. If there's advice in all this, I guess it's this. When someone tells you exactly how little say you have in your own life, believe them. And don't argue. Just pack.